One of the folks running for the late Ted Kennedy Senate seat in Massachusetts is named Joe Kennedy. Should be a shoo-in, right? But this Joe Kennedy is an independent and is not related to the famous Kennedy clan. He joins us right now. Mr. Kennedy, good to have you.
Good to be on.
Are you ever tempted just with a wink and a nod say, yeah, I'm a Kennedy, and just leave it at that and just leave him guessing?
Well, the funny thing is, technically I am a Kennedy. It's just I'm not one of those
You're not
Kennedys.
the Kennedys, right?
Yeah, I don't get the money or the house in Hyannisport, so I guess I don't qualify.
Where do you stand in the race? I mean, you get high marks for the type of race you're running and all, but I guess there it's all focused on the top two guys, right?
Well, it always is. I think that any time that you have a race where you've got an independent running, libertarian running, a Constitution Party, or a Green candidate running, you're going to be an individual that's kind of pushed off to the side a little bit. The press, the media, they like the head-to-head between the two big parties. They like to see that, and that's what sells airtime, and that's what they're paid to do, is to sell airtime, not to allow individuals in the voting population to actually necessarily know an equal amount about all the candidates.
The Republican candidate, Brown, scored some points by saying, this isn't Kennedy's seat, it's the people's seat. He seems to be moving up in the polls. Now, I don't know which polls are reliable, but the state senator has garnered some favorable media attention as saying that, those in Massachusetts are just fed up with big government and particularly fed up with this health care plan. Is that true?
I think that's absolutely true. I think that Scott made the right statement. It is the people's seat. People in Massachusetts, we already have government-run health care, and personally, I think it's awful. Scott Brown was actually one of the individuals who pushed the Massachusetts bill through, and it has caused us to have the highest premiums in the nation, and our health care costs are increasing faster than anywhere else. Having stated that, the fact that we're trying to do it at the federal level across the entire country is insane to me. Personally, I think that when Scott pushed it forward in Massachusetts, it was a big mistake. I would repeal it here, and I would do anything to stop it from going forward.
But it would be a big deal, certainly if you won, if Scott won, he's going to be on tomorrow with us. But the fact of the matter is, that would be a seismic shift in Massachusetts, which I guess hasn't had a Republican senator, certainly a non-Democrat, since the early 70s. How likely do you think that is?
I'm not going to guess, only because the polls that I've seen are so sporadic.
We've got
some polls that it's unbelievable. We have some polls that have Martha up by 15 points. We have some polls that have Scott up. We have Scott gaining over time. We've got polls that don't mention me. We've got polls with me at 7–8%. So the polling, I think, is inconsistent enough that it's unreliable.
Has the actual Joe Kennedy, you're an actual Joe Kennedy, I apologize, but is the Joe Kennedy everyone's familiar with, Bobby Kennedy's son, who was also rumored to be wanting to run for this seat, and then he said he would not. Has he ever talked to you and said, hey, whatever?
No, I actually called him before I ran, gave him a phone call just to tell him, I was running. I didn't want anybody in the family to be offended. I understand that this is, in a lot of people's minds, a seat that belongs to that family, but I am of the mind of, Scott Brown's statement. It's the people's seat. I just happen to have the name.
What did he tell you real quickly when you spoke with him?
He didn't. I just got a voicemail. I left the voicemail. I gave him my number, and I said, if you have any questions, just give me a call.
It'd be really cool if you won. I bet, you give him voicemail in return if he calls you. Joe Kennedy, very good having you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.